that's. So, as I've said, I'm Eloise Clayton from Brookes University, and my role at the university is Global Recruitment Officer. So I look after applicants joining from Vietnam and supporting you through as many of those processes all the way through from meeting you today to enrollment, and giving you all that necessary support that you need throughout. So we're going to talk a little bit to start with about what Brookes is as a university, where we are, what we're about, and we'll kind of go from there. So why Brookes? What do we at Brookes offer in terms of our programs? What specific courses and topics do we really excel in at Brookes? So what are we shouting about? What are we really great at compared to other universities in the UK? So Brookes is among the world's top universities in specific subject areas. So I've got them listed on the screen. So those aren't necessarily the course or program titles, but they are the areas that Brookes do really well in. Specifically, we're really good at our hospitality programs. So we spend a lot of time working with industry professionals within the UK and around Oxford, and even places like London that are close by to Oxford, to really get the insight into what professionals and what career services in the UK are looking for from graduates, because that's what, you know, the end goal. You do a degree and you essentially then want to progress your education by working in that area that your degree is in. So if we take hospitality as an example, we work with a whole host of different partners. So whether that be restaurants, hotels, whether that be certain chains of employers, all the way from really local small businesses, all the way to big chains, big conglomerate organizations that you may have heard of that are internationally based as well. So we really pride ourselves in our hospitality programs. So we offer hospitality at both undergraduate levels, so that would be a bachelor's degree, but we also offer our hospitality, tourism, and even hotel management programs at that more senior level and higher level at master's level too. So you may wish to do an undergraduate program with us, or you may wish to choose to do a postgraduate program with us, and that could be in that hospitality subject. And as I'll touch on a little bit later, our hospitality programs do offer that placement year that I know that you guys really wanted to chat about and get a little bit and know a little bit more about as well. So don't worry, I will be discussing that later on in the kind of part-time work, sandwich mode, work experience area of the session. We also really excel in as Brookes in our education sector. So once again, both at undergraduate and postgraduate level, with a variety of different programs. So we offer the education program at MA level as an overall subject, but we also offer pathways within that education program as well. So things like artist teacher practice, TESOL, SEND, so special educational needs, and a variety of other English language programs as well as part of education. So some really interesting pathways to kind of get your teeth into, and some really interesting programs that we offer at Brookes as well. I would also say that one of our top performing programs that students are very interested in is our motorsport engineering program. So students who want to come and learn about things like Formula One. And what's really great about Brookes is we're so close to Silverstone. So have really great access to Formula One cars. We have our own racing team. We work alongside industry professionals, not only in the UK, but internationally. Also, this program is very, very good for employability because we have industry professionals coming to Oxford Brookes specifically to employ students. So just before they finish graduation, employers will come from all over the world, from things like Ferrari, McLaren, Mini, Red Bull, to employ Oxford Brookes students specifically because they know having a motorsport engineering degree at Oxford Brookes is really sought after and has a very high reputation at the university. We do also offer a whole host of other subjects. We do really well in our architecture programs as well. So we have an architecture school. I'll touch on this a little bit later, but we are building, or it's almost finished being built, our new campus, and that will house our architecture students as well. So really great new facilities, state-of-the-art technology, and will be entirely new for this September. Okay, so we're going to go on my next slide. So as I kind of discussed, our programs are broken down into different faculties. So we have our business school, so looking at things like economics, finance, international business, marketing as well is within that school. So hospitality is as well. So lots of programs within the Oxford Brookes Business School. It is probably our most popular set of programs at Oxford Brookes, our business programs. And I believe a main key factor as to why it's so popular with our both home students but our international students is that pretty much all of our business programs will offer that 1 year sandwich placement. So students have an opportunity to go out in the real world and work with employers that Oxford Brookes are working with to really boost their experience in the industry. So it's a really fantastic opportunity, and we'll talk a little bit more about that specifically in a few slides' time. We also have the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences, so things like biomedical studies, sport and exercise science, nutrition, nursing, psychology, social work, so those kind of real key science and sociological science programs as well. We also have the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, so focusing on things like MA education or just the Bachelor in Education, also focusing on languages, so English language, but we also offer things like Japanese studies. We also offer programs within law, so our School of Law offers, both undergraduate and postgraduate studies of law in different fields as well. So it could be law overall, or it could be things like law and business, law and criminology, also international trade and law. We also offer programs like international relations and politics, which is really popular if that's part of your interest as well. And finally, we have our TDE faculty, so Technology, Design and Environment. So that houses our School of Architecture, our Built Environment program, so looking at urban design, urban planning, also looking at sustainability as part of that as well. Also containing our arts programs, so things like fine art, our foundations in art as well, things like graphic design, our music programs, our computing programs are also housed in our Technology, Design and Environment. So computer science, artificial intelligence, advanced computer science. So Oxford Brookes offers a whole variety of programs. So all you have to do is think about what you're interested in and what your career ambitions are, and we can find the best fit course for you. We also have a course search function, so you can go onto our website and you're able to search the different programs that you might be interested in, both at undergraduate and postgraduate level as well. So now we've talked a little bit about the types of programs that you might get at Oxford Brookes and the different schools that we have. I want to talk a little bit about Oxford as a city. So not only do we offer really fantastic academic programs, but students absolutely love living in Oxford. It is a beautiful city. So I feel slightly biased because I've lived in Oxford all my life. I grew up in Oxford, I went to school in Oxford, and so I now work at Oxford Brookes, so I spend a lot of time in Oxford, and it's one of my absolute favourite places to be. And there's a load of reasons why. So as you can see from kind of this little small snapshot picture, the architecture is quite different to many other places around the world, even in the UK. We have a lot of historic buildings and really kind of unique architecture. So the buildings are very old. They're made of something called sandstone, so very bright, kind of rather than necessarily bricks or concrete. As you can see, we don't really have many sky high rises. A city is kind of all on the same level, so you don't really have, you get to see that beautiful skyline. It's not obstructed by really tall buildings. But speaking of kind of tall buildings, the tallest things in Oxford are what we call our spires. And these are kind of the stunning spires that you can see. So they're either libraries, churches, cathedrals, a lot of the Oxford University colleges as well. So really beautiful, just picturesque place to live and to, you know, look at and be around as well. Not only do we have the kind of older side of Oxford, but there are a lot of modern buildings too. So we have like the Oxford Modern Art Museum. We have the Ashmolean Museum, which is kind of a really great culture area for art, for history, a lot of different kind of visitors will come in and do exhibitions, so it's really fun. We also have the different kind of museums, and as I mentioned, we have like the Ashmolean, but we also have the Pitt Rivers Museum, all things kind of natural history related, so that's really fun as well. We also have a lot of new shopping centres, so if you like things like, you know, on the drive here, I went past the like Lot shopping centre. We have a similar kind of one in Oxford that's very new. It has a rooftop bar, it has rooftop shopping, rooftop restaurants, so has a cinema, has a lot of really cool things, has a bowling alley, has cricket, has golf, so lots of really fun things all in one place. And so Oxford is, yeah, got a lot of international students. So 1 in 4 adults in Oxford city centre are students, and that's because Oxford University and Oxford Brookes are both present in the same city. So 2 university city town, which is really great because obviously you get the lots of kind of vibrant atmosphere, the buzz around Oxford, a lot of part-time work opportunities, a lot of general work opportunities, but also really great food from all around the world. It's just a really kind of great place to live as well. As you can see from the map that's next to the picture of Oxford, we're really close to London as well. We're only about an hour, just over an hour away by bus from London, and the bus leaves straight from Oxford Brookes University, which is the bus I got to get to the airport. It's the bus that I use to get into London City, London Centre, so Marble Arch, Marylebone, very easy to get to Paddington, so really great transport connections, and the bus goes straight from Oxford Brookes, so you can do your lectures, you can go straight from your university halls. It's really, really easy to get to. I flew from Heathrow today, so Oxford Brookes is only about 50-minute bus journey or limousine bus journey to Heathrow, which is really great. Really affordable rates as well, so students can get a discount on their travel to London, but also their travel to airports. We're also really close to Gatwick, so about an hour and a half to Gatwick, and you can get on the same bus. All of those buses to Heathrow, to Gatwick, to Marylebone, to Marble Arch, all go from the same bus stop. So really, really handy to be able to get to and from London. Also, if we're looking at other cities in the UK, we're very close to Birmingham. It's very easy to get to Manchester, you know, more northern cities in the UK as well, because Oxford has 2 train stations. So very easy to get around. One of those train stations, which is on the Marylebone line, so only an hour into Marylebone, is also on the Bicester Village line. So if there's anyone in this Zoom that is interested in high-end shopping, so things like Burberry, Ralph Lauren, all of those kind of really great, you know, high-end stores, Bicester Village is only 15 minutes from the centre of Oxford and about 20 minutes from Oxford Brookes University. So really great amenities, lots and lots to do as well. So as I've talked about, the main reasons to kind of be in Oxford are the beautiful kind of city that Oxford is. Oxford is based on a river as well. So there's lots of opportunities to go punting, as you can see from this picture here. So where you're on a river, on a boat, you can take a picnic, all of those really fun things. As you can see in the background as well, we've got Magdalen College, which is an Oxford college that you'll have access to and you can go and visit. We also have the Botanical Gardens, which are sat behind here as well. So lots of really great things to do whilst you're living in Oxford and studying in Oxford. As I've talked about as well, the really high quality teaching. So Oxford Brookes has won and has been up for many awards with regard to its teaching excellence. So as I said earlier, the Oxford Brookes Business School was up for Business School of the Year award in the UK last year. We were nominated, we were in the top running finalists for that particular award. So really a lot of things to celebrate as well. And what I've experienced working at Oxford Brookes for 5 years now is that the faculties will bend over backwards to support their students, not only in joining, so when they make an application, but also whilst they're here. The amount of support that our Oxford Brookes students get is a lot, individually, as a group, with both careers, with visa, CAS support, language support. There's a lot of things that Oxford Brookes offer that can really help our international students in doing the best that they can whilst they're studying with us. And often that's, you know, outside of lectures as well. So students are assigned a one-to-one support coordinator that you can keep contact with. You're also assigned an academic tutor, so for anything that you need support with your academic career. And we have like a Brookes Union as well that provides support for things like housing, financial support, any support with retakes. There's just so much that we offer at Brookes, and it's all just about providing you guys with that key and understanding of how to ask, who to ask, and what for. And we know, I always say when students join, the best thing to do is to kind of try and expose yourself to as many of those different services that we offer for free. So really great opportunities there. Here's a few pictures from Oxford. So Oxford Brookes as a campus backs onto what we call Oxford South Parks. And this is a huge park that many of our students, you know, over summertime and even winter will spend at food festivals, music festivals, playing team sports, just chilling with friends, having a picnic, all those kind of things. We've got a few pictures of the museums here, so students get discounted rates at these museums, so lots of art, culture, history that you can kind of go to as and when, and many of our programs are partnered with these different services around Oxford, different culture around Oxford, in order to make our programs as interesting, as exciting, as up to date with technology as possible. I know some colleagues in the history department are working with artificial intelligence, are working with the castle at Oxford Brookes in order to kind of provide visual aids going back in time. There's so many different areas that students can really get involved with. As I mentioned earlier, we have the Westgate Shopping Centre that's accessible, you know, open very late hours, has restaurants, cafes, food, drinks, cinema, games, so many different things that students can get involved with as well. And that kind of in itself provides really great opportunity for part-time work as well. We've also got a fun video picture here, as I said, of the river that Oxford Brookes is on. So you can go punting, so kind of on this little boat down the river, stop off at a few pubs, things like that. It's a really nice thing to do in the summer. So our campuses, we have different campuses that students can study on. They have access to all of these campuses. So we have our main Headington campus, and this is where you'll be if you're studying things like our business programs, our architecture programs, computing, our social sciences are all based here. And this has a open very late shop that you can see on the front, so like a 7-Eleven shop. It also has a 24/7 library, so you can access that library 24/7 with your Oxford Brookes library card. It spans 6 floors, I believe, and students have access to Mac computers, loads of books to rent out, DVDs, videos, online resources. It's a really fantastic library, and we have specialised library technicians that will be able to support with any academic needs that you have as well. We also have a dentist on site and then medical professionals as well, so a medical centre that students can use. We also have a gym on site, so memberships are discounted for students. We also have a climbing wall, one of like the only kind of a climbing wall in the area as well. One of our other campuses also has a swimming pool for students, so you can access that too. So a lot of really great facilities for our students. So as I said, Headington campus is only about a 15-minute walk to the city centre or a 5-minute bus journey, and you can get a bus pass when you're in Oxford as well, very cheaply. We wouldn't advise that any students, whether you're UK or international, have a car, so everyone pretty much walks everywhere or uses a bike. You could, if you wanted to get a moped like you use in Vietnam if you wanted. That's absolutely fine as well. So really, this is the main campus. So we're also developing, as I said earlier, our Headington Hill campus. So this is entirely new for this September, and as working in Oxford, I've been kind of keeping up with the progress. It looks amazing. It's got cars hanging from the ceiling. It's got robotic arm. It's got like a 360-degree kind of VR simulators. It's got a restaurant, a cafe. It's got loads of kind of open spaces for students to share kind of their work, their knowledge. It's at the kind of cutting edge of science, technology, engineering, and maths. We've got a lot of industry professionals who'll be visiting and working with us on campus because we have a lot of invested interest in the new campus. So it's a really great opportunity for our new students who'll be studying things like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics as well. We also have our Harcourt Hill campus, so all to do with our education. So if you're looking to study education, this could be mainly where you study your lectures. So we find it really great to have all the education students, both at undergrad and postgraduate level, in all one place. So it means that students can kind of work together really well. There's a lot of collaboration. As I said, there's a swimming pool and a gym on this campus, a sports centre, subject specific, so education library, 20 minutes from the city centre, 10 minutes from the railway station, so very close to all the amenities. You can get a bus from the campuses very easily. There's an on-site kind of cafe and restaurant as well. So lots to be kind of doing on this campus as well. So going to go into a little bit about kind of what living in Oxford is like. So in terms of the costs, so you'll have different costs for different things while studying at the university. So you will likely pay for your tuition fees, pay for your accommodation, pay for living whilst in the UK, so things like food, your phone bills, clothing, socialising, all those different kinds of things. Our Oxford Brookes Union offer money advice and financial advice, so how best to spend your money, how best to kind of allocate your money to these different things. We do have, myself and a colleague have just done a webinar on financing coming to the UK. So I'm going to share with colleagues here at Indec all the resources for the webinars, which means that you can go and watch them in your own time to find out more about how much it costs to live in the UK, how to pay your tuition fees, how to pay for accommodation, how to pay your deposit, how to kind of navigate the financial terrain at Oxford Brookes. It's really important to understand that university in the UK is a certain price, and it costs a certain amount of money, and it's important to understand how you might finance that as well. So the tuition fees range between roughly that kind of £15,000 to £18,000 per year, which comparative to other UK universities, Oxford Brookes is very reasonable for its price. You get a lot of kind of value and a lot of good I think it's a good value for money for our programs, considering the kind of teaching excellence you get and the variety of programs and the opportunity to do things like a work placement year as well. But thinking about this, we do also offer international student scholarships. So this year we have a new student scholarship of £1,000, which we didn't have last year. So a really great opportunity for students to be able to pay their deposit, but also get that £1,000 scholarship too. So that's for both undergraduate and postgraduate levels. So just a little bit of money to help you in joining the UK or joining Oxford Brookes as well. So that kind of thing could pay for your flights, or it could be, well, it pays for the tuition fees, but the money that you save could be then used, you know, for something else like flights or, you know, other things that you might want to spend your money on. So I will definitely share those resources because we do very specific webinars on just finance as well, and actually just what it is like to live in the UK too. So accommodation, a really important thing to consider when coming to the UK is where are you going to live? And that's another cost as well. So you can pay for your accommodation in broken down installments. So it's not, you don't have to pay all at once. You often will be contacted by the accommodation team around May time, before the year you want to apply, or ongoing. So students who are still applying now, once they have their offer, they'll be contacted by the accommodation team to start looking and applying for the different types of accommodation. So it's really worth thinking about when you're looking to apply to the UK, what type of accommodation might suit you. So you might think, I want to apply for accommodation that's on campus, which we do offer for international students. You might think I want to be a little bit further away because it's a bit cheaper. You might also decide you want to cook your own meals and share with other people, which can also be make the finances a bit cheaper. When I was at university, we did I shared with 7 people, and we did 1 day a week different. So I did 1 day a week cooking, and then my friend would do another, and we would rotate round, which is really nice because it's a good way to meet people and a good way to socialize as well. Also, it's important whether you want your own toilet or not in your room. So often it can be very much like a hotel. You have your own room with a bed and your own bathroom, but you may have a shared kitchen, for example, amongst a floor of people. So that is really important to consider. Oxford Brookes offers both of those options. So either you might want to share a bathroom, or you may wish to have your own. You also, if you're applying for a specific program, the accommodation will fit with the amount of time you are required to be at Oxford Brookes. So we offer different lengths of contract depending on your program. We also offer different accommodation depending on the type of program. So if you're doing a healthcare program like nursing, you'll likely be put in accommodation with other nurses because you have a very similar schedule, a very similar timetable. And so we try and pair you or work with students and group them together so you're with your best fit as well. So what is life like in halls? So as I said, you'll have your own room that tends to have a desk in it, a bed, and as I said, en suites as well. So I tended to, when I was at university, appreciated having my own bathroom because it's nice to be able to have your own space, be a bit more independent as well. But I really liked sharing a kitchen because it meant that you could eat dinner, lunches, you could also a good way to save money and not necessarily eat out as much is pre-prepare your meals in your kitchen, in your halls, and then take them as like a packed lunch to the university, and make your dinners as well, and kind of decide how much you want to spend on food and money out as well. There's all local buses that go to and from the campus from our accommodation. So it might be that you're 10-15 minute bus journey away from campus, but then all of our accommodation is very easily accessible to our campuses, so not very long at all. And we also offer more quiet accommodation. We also offer single-sex accommodation if you decide you want to be with the same gender as yourself. We also offer alcohol-free accommodation for those students that maybe for religious reasons don't want to, or for social reasons, just want to decide that that's a better option for them. The accommodation team are really happy to work with you on what suits you, and that's what the main thing about universities is. What suits you as a learner? What's going to make your time best and make you have the most get the most out of your time in the UK and at Oxford Brookes? What's quite nice is you can see in these pictures, many students bring their own or make their own, kind of bring a few pictures. You have a notice board. They make, you make it at home, make it feel like yours. What's also great about Oxford Brookes accommodation is you don't have to move out over the holidays. So, for example, at Oxford University, you have to move out during summer periods, you have to move out during half term or study breaks. Oxford Brookes, you are able to stay. So you can have the contract for the amount of time that you're paying for. So whether that be like 36 weeks or whether that be 52 weeks, for example. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the placements that we offer at Oxford Brookes. So thinking a little bit about the job opportunities that you have as well. So as I discussed earlier, unless you wanted to come in, would you like me to continue?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Or would you like me to pick something?
Yes, let's get a meeting first.
Say again, sorry?
Let's get a meeting first.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Try to do your meeting first.
Oh yeah, I'll pause. Yeah. Thank you so much. Before we move on to the next section, my colleagues, I want to hand over to them. So
Okay.
I'll stop sharing for a moment.
Oh, thank you so much for your useful information about Oxford and Oxford Brookes University. Yeah, thank you. And các bạn ơi, thì vừa rồi là chị rất là cảm ơn phần chia sẻ của cô, và chị tin rằng ấy thì rất là nhiều các bạn ở đây cũng đã xếp lại những phần thông tin giá trị về trường OBU cũng như là về thành phố Oxford rồi, đúng không? Thì không biết là các bạn đã nhớ được những gì về thông tin gì về thành phố Oxford cũng như là OBU rồi? Thì các bạn có tự tin được rằng là mình có thể nhớ hết được tất cả các phần thông tin không? Bạn nào có Thì tự tin thì có thể là comment vào chị có nhá. Bạn nào không thì cũng có thể là comment không nhá. Để chị vào chị nắm được nha. Nào có bạn nào có thể nhớ được hết tất cả các thông tin cô vừa chia sẻ không? Comment để chị biết nào. Ok, bạn Đông Nguyễn rất là tự tin, bạn bảo là có nhớ nha. Chứng tỏ Đông Nguyễn nghe rất là kỹ phần chia sẻ của cô. Còn bạn nào nữa không? Quỳnh Hoa bảo cũng hòm hòm ạ. Rồi ok. Vậy thì nếu mà các bạn đã nắm được các phần thông tin đấy rồi thì bây giờ chị cũng muốn là có một cái phần chơi nho nhỏ của mini game ngày hôm nay, thì chúng ta sẽ tham gia ngay vào một trò chơi mà cái trò chơi này ấy, thì 3 bạn ghi nhớ được nhiều nhất sẽ nhận được phần quà hấp dẫn từ Index nhá. Thì chị cũng rất là mong muốn các bạn đồng ý thì các bạn sẽ comment vào số 1 cho chị đi. Comment vào số 1 đồng ý chơi mini game thì comment vào số 1 cho chị nào. Ok, Đông một Hoàng Tôn nha. Có rất là nhiều các bạn comment số 1 rồi nha. Mình nhờ ekip của Index sẽ mở slide trò chơi ra nha. Ngày hôm nay thì chị sẽ chia sẻ luật chơi cho các bạn nhé. Các bạn sẽ vui lòng quét mã QA trên màn hình này, hoặc là mình sẽ ấn vào cái link ở trong phần comment đội ngũ của ekip đã gửi vào trong nhóm rồi nha. Và các bạn sẽ đặt tên theo cú pháp là tên và gạch ngang 3 số cuối điện thoại này. Các bạn sẽ lưu ý rằng cho chị là các bạn vui lòng là đặt đúng số tên nha, để cuối giờ thì Index sẽ dễ dàng gửi lại phần quà cho các bạn nhé. Và trò chơi này thì sẽ bao gồm là 10 câu hỏi này, mỗi câu sẽ bao gồm chơi là 10 giây, và các bạn sẽ 3 bạn đứng thứ hạng cao nhất thì sẽ là người chiến thắng ấy. Rồi ok, và phần cuối game này thì các bạn sẽ biết được ngay là ai sẽ là người chiến thắng trong cái phần chơi này luôn. Rồi ok, chị nhắc trước một chút xíu ấy, thì cái trò chơi này thì mình sẽ không có được câu hỏi nào nháp nha. Và phần thi này thì các bạn cần phải thực sự là nhanh tay và thực sự là chú tâm và thực sự. Rồi ok, vậy thì các bạn đã sẵn sàng chưa? Bây giờ các bạn đã quét hết mã QR vào mini game này chưa? Các bạn đã sẵn sàng chưa? Rồi ok, hiện tại chị đang thấy có 9 bạn tham gia rồi này. Các bạn tiếp tục vào đi. 11 rồi, ok, 11 bạn đã join vào rồi. Có bạn Quang, Linh này, Tú Anh này, Khánh này. Rồi ok, 12 bạn. Tiếp tục vào đi nào. Chị thấy là hôm nay mình có rất là nhiều các bạn join vào sự kiện mà. Các bạn cùng join vào cái phần mini game này để mình nhận phần quà nhé. Ok, hiện tại đang có 14 bạn. Còn bạn nào nữa không nào? Để chị cho 1 phút nữa thôi. 1 phút nữa là mình sẽ bắt đầu game chơi này nhá. Nhanh tay vào nha. Rồi ok, vậy thì 14 bạn tham gia. Rồi ok, nhờ ekip của Index sẽ bắt đầu chương trình mini game hôm nay nha. Bạn đã sẵn sàng chưa? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bắt đầu. Các bạn sẽ trả lời. Anh đã trả lời. Tú Anh này, Linh này. Đang thấy là trên màn hình đang top 3 bây giờ vẫn đang chưa đổi chủ. Các bạn còn lại cố lên nào. Đông này, Linh này, các bạn còn lại trả lời vừa nhanh và vừa phải chính xác nha, cố gắng nha. Bạn Linh đã vượt lên top 3 rồi nha. Hiện tại top 1 và top 2 vẫn là Minh Trí và Tú Anh này. Top 3 thì Linh đã vượt lên. Bạn Huế 796 đã vượt lên số 5. Có bạn Thảo Trinh đã vượt lên. Top 3 liên tục đổi chủ nha. Song Minh đã vượt lên top 3 rồi nha. Bạn Đông lại nhảy lên top 3 rồi nha. Top 3 liên tục đổi chủ. Nhanh lên nào, chỉ còn một ít giây nữa thôi là chúng ta sẽ hết mini game này rồi. cố gắng nha. Đông đã vượt lên thứ 2, lấy vị trí của Tú Anh đã vượt xuống thứ 5 rồi. Bạn Bella quên đặt tên đúng pháp nha. Ok, top 1, top 2, top 3 đã đổi chủ rồi nha. Đấy là Minh Trí này, Bella, Đông này. Các bạn còn lại cố lên nào. Minh Trí vẫn giữ vững top đầu. Bạn Bella cố lên lấy Tú Anh đã vượt lên top thứ 2 rồi. Bella, thấy là bảng xếp hạng đang thay đổi liên tục, nhưng mà top 1 vẫn là Minh Trí nha. Tú Anh đã vượt lên Bella rồi nha. Các bạn còn lại đâu rồi? Sắp xong chưa nhỉ? Ok, chị thấy là các bạn đã hoàn thành, đang đến đoạn nước rồi. Cố lên. Chị đã thấy là Tú Anh đã nhảy lên thứ 2 rồi này. Ok, Minh Trí vẫn đang top đầu nha. Minh Trí và Tú Anh đang có điểm số gần ngang nhau rồi nha. Cố lên Tú Anh ơi, Tú Anh lấy vị trí đầu tiên của Minh Trí đi nào. Ok, chị thấy là top 3 hiện tại vẫn đang dừng lại của Minh Trí, Tú Anh và Bella này. Chúng ta đã kết thúc phần chơi này và chị ok, và đây chính là danh sách 3 bạn đã nhận được phần thưởng ngày hôm nay, 3 bạn chiến thắng ngày hôm nay. Thứ nhất là bạn Minh Trí duy trì top 1 ngay từ lần đầu tiên luôn. Rồi Minh Trí, rồi chị đọc tên 3 bạn nha. Minh Trí này, Tú Anh và Bella. Các bạn nhớ là tham gia hết chương trình nha, để Index có thể gửi phần quà cho các bạn vào cuối giờ nhé. Rồi ok, cảm ơn các bạn rất là nhiều. Và ok, để tiếp nối chương trình sau phần mini game để lấy lại năng lượng này, thì chúng mình hãy cùng tiếp tục sang phần thứ 2 với những phần thông tin hữu ích về chương trình thực tập hưởng lương. Chị nghĩ là các bạn cũng đã chờ đón cái phần chương trình thực tập hưởng lương này rất là lâu rồi đúng không? Vậy thì ngay bây giờ thì hãy cùng tìm hiểu với cô Eloise. Ms.Eloise, now we will continue our event with group placement of you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, well done for the quiz there. It looked like a really fun game. So congratulations to the top 3. Well done, and everyone for generally participating. Right, let me share my screen again. So, as we were talking about, and I'm now going to discuss a little bit more about the kind of work placements, the part-time opportunities for you to be able to access whilst at Oxford Brookes. So as I said, many of our business programs, as either as part of your undergraduate program or as part of your master's program, offer what we call like a sandwich placement. So what that is you'll do part of your studies. Normally if you're undergraduate level, you'll do your first 2 years of academic study, and then you would do a sandwich year if you wanted to. It is optional, it's not mandatory, so you can decide whether you want to do that. And then once you finished your 1 year sandwich placement, you would then come back and complete your final year. So it makes a 3-year bachelor's degree into a 4-year degree with that added placement year. If you were doing a placement year at postgraduate level, you would do the first year as academic and the second year is your placement year. And what's really fantastic about our postgraduate placement years is that they are often fully paid. So it's like a working placement. So not an internship where it's done, for free, but you'll be fully paid a salary whilst doing your PG sandwich year placement. So that's really great because it gives you obviously extra funds whilst you're living in the UK. You're getting paid for that hard work that you're doing. We help students arrange their placements. So we have a bank of placements that we've used and a bank of partnerships that we already have, but many students will actually come to us and say, I'm thinking about doing this, or I want to do this, or I've reached out already to this employer. So we do a whole host of different kind of arrangements in that way. Either students can use kind of the bank that we already have, or students might want to go out and reach out to new businesses and people that they want to work with. That doesn't have to necessarily just be in the UK. Many students can do their placement internationally. Many students will do their placement not in Oxford if they don't want to. It's all about what suits you and how you wish to organise and work with our teams to organise that placement year. So in the business school specifically, we have our own work experience and volunteering team. So they're called Waves. So they're specifically for our business programs, but we do have an entire careers team for the university. So they are really helpful in being able to give students the opportunity to work on their CVs, work on interview skills, work on job applications, work on how to find jobs that they want to apply for, working on part-time jobs as well. So the careers team are based in our main campus and they're open all the time. So students can just pop in, they can make an appointment, you can go see them face to face, you can see them via Zoom virtually. They are a really fantastic resource and service that is free to our students. They also put on like a careers fair every kind of normally 3 times a year, where careers and businesses will do a fair at the university, inviting students to kind of talk to them, chat to them, see what placements they have, see what work they have post-graduation, just really kind of networking and making sure that you're kind of joining the dots with respect to what you should be doing career-wise. I'm going to see if I hope you can hear this video. So I'm going to take my headphones out and fingers crossed you'll be able to hear. Let me know if you can.
My name is Angela McMullen and I'm Chief Financial Officer at All3 Media. All3 Media is one of the leading TV production companies in the UK. We're an incredibly successful company. Titles include things from a wide range of titles, ranging from Midsummer Murders to Call the Midwife, The Tourist, Gogglebox, The Circle, Tinder Swindler, which was a big hit on Netflix recently. You're aware that Oxford Brookes ran a 4-year sort of sandwich program with 1 year out. We specifically wanted to approach students with accounting and finance degrees. We want people to come to us who've got a passion for television and a passion for learning and want to be the future sort of accountants in the TV production industry. Oxford Brookes were easy to deal with. They made it possible. Our HR team worked well with Oxford Brookes, and we got a good selection of candidates coming through. So it just worked really well. The students that we've had have been really committed, dedicated, great work ethic. They've been really enthusiastic about what they do. The company is great because it's a good way of getting to know the students, and it's almost like a massive extended interview. And then, all of the students that we've had to date, we've offered roles to on graduation. We've had such good success. So, we have opened it up to some other universities, but we certainly have had more success with Oxford Brookes. So, absolutely, we are considering taking more Brookes students.
So as you can see on that particular example of work placements, employers really favour working with Oxford Brookes because we give them such committed, such diligent, such kind of enthusiastic students. And actually what's a really fantastic point that she touched on that kind of showcases what we're really all about at Oxford Brookes in terms of work placements is that opportunity after you graduate. She was saying that all so far in their placement work that they've hired all of the students that they've taken from Brookes. So that's a really great employability and success rate. So able to kind of show, showcase and show why placement years are so successful. So I would personally, you know, if you have opportunity to take a placement year, it is a really great opportunity. It's also, with Oxford Brookes, only 10% of your fees. So many of our sandwiches are only around £2,000, so you don't pay tuition fees on top of the placement year. You are just paying for that placement year. So if you're being paid to do that placement year, you are actually earning that money. Placement years are a really great way as well, because they're included in your study time, or they're included in your study. You, as an international student, you can work full-time in your placement year. So traditionally, on your visa, you're only eligible to work part-time hours. So you're only eligible to work around 20 hours a week with part-time work. However, work placements are part of your education in the UK, and therefore you can work full-time if you're on a work placement. So that's a really great thing to have on your CV. A really great thing to have in progressing to the world of employment post-graduation. The UK offers something at the moment called a post-study work visa, which is for 2 years. So your employer and the university can help you apply for your post-study work visa. So it's an extension on your visa for working in the UK that lasts for 2 years. So that's a really great opportunity to kind of extend your ability to work and live in the UK. We also have another really great video that I will show you on our hospitality. There we go. This is to do with our hospitality and tourism placements. So another really great example.
To come to Oxford Brookes because it was one of the best school of hospitality in the UK. Now I know exactly what I want to do in the future.
I love my job. Best thing is the exposure. Wow, this is the Mandarin Orient. So you've worked there, could you try and adapt it over here?
36 general managers, 34 of them have worked their way up. For Oxford Brookes students that are graduating, it's a great place to start a career. Young, very bright mind makes us better as a company, I believe.
I've always been into hospitality, I've always been into languages. I definitely have Brookes to thank for the job I have now, such as the placement that I done. That really gave me a proper taste of what the hospitality business is like.
Brookes are always so supportive in their teaching and their roles. You can always go to them, whether it's an issue with work or outside of work, and they're always there to help. Brookes, there was that module which you had to plan an event. Actually, putting on an event was definitely a really important thing to then doing that on a day-to-day basis here. Starting off, taking the inquiry for a party, and then seeing the finished product, and you're like, wow, that was me. I've had such an experience, I want to change it.
8 to 9 years we've had interns doing their year-long placement from Oxford Brookes. It's a great synergy and working relationship.
Alumni for Oxford Brookes. Hospitality is a great career choice. It's, I would say, the passport to the world. I'm pleased also to say that I studied it and I'm still within to Oxford Brookes University.
So as you can see there, 2 really good examples of videos of what placements could be like for you at Oxford Brookes. And I think the really important thing is that support. We don't just leave students to go and do it on their own. Oxford Brookes are there 100% of the way, really supporting you and being able to achieve everything you want to on the placement. So really fantastic opportunities there as well. Oops. Sorry, it's starting again. So we have a whole host of different types of work placements. So students have gone on or gone to do their work placements at these different businesses. So as I said, whether that be smaller independent businesses or whether that be more global international businesses across the UK and internationally as well. So a really fantastic bit of exposure for you to promote you, not only how you want to work, but promote you as a person, so your employability and the likelihood of you getting a job, putting yourself out there, networking and really meeting a lot of those different people. Oxford Brookes also prides itself on the academic side, so we embed a lot of this kind of work culture, a lot of this kind of employability within our modules. So one of the girls there talked about, she did events management and she had to, one of her modules was actually delivering an event. So all of those kind of things work together, the placement and the academic modules paired together to really support you in, once you finish the university, once you graduate, what are those employers looking for? How are you going to be successful in a job? Because that's essentially what you're looking for, is I want to progress my education, I want to be in the world of work, I want to be successful in that job that I'm doing. So making sure that students feel really confident in that transition from education into the world of work. And we can really support you in doing that. A little bit about part-time jobs, as we've talked about. So Oxford is a bustling city and it relies on students to fill part-time jobs. So whether that be in the hospitality industry, so bars, restaurants, whether that be in some shops, things like that, very flexible hours. As I said, you can work 20 hours a week on your visa when you come to the UK. And you can do a whole host of different types of employment as well. You can even work on campus. So you can be a student ambassador for the university. So you can actually work for Oxford Brookes, which is great. So it gives you the opportunity to support colleagues like me who work, I hire student ambassadors to help give tours around the university, to work open days, to support, a lot of the operational delivery that we do at Oxford Brookes. So it's really great to have international student ambassadors working with us too. And that is paid, obviously, work. You might do admissions work as well. So calling students, working on different call campaigns. I work with students doing many of those different types of things as well. You might work in the cafes as well, the restaurants on site, the gym, the library. There's loads of different opportunities if you want to stay on campus as well. So really fantastic opportunities for our students too. So as I said, we have the career service as well. So they really support students in different types of ways. So whether that be one-to-one, whether that be virtual, we have placement fairs, job fairs. You might even think you want to volunteer for a charity. So how do you get involved in that? So lots of different UK and Oxford charities as well. So really fantastic opportunity to be face-to-face on the ground of being able to apply for these jobs and working with our careers team. And the fantastic thing about this is it's all free to students. So no extra cost, no charge. Students can gain access to this all the time. What we also say is when students graduate, you still have access, even when you maybe move away from Oxford or move home to Vietnam, you have access to all of Oxford Brookes support, including the careers service, for up to 3 years post-graduation. So becoming an alumni, creating that network, getting all that support from as many people at the university, including the careers team as well. And for example, in Vietnam, one of the alumni who studied global marketing, she works as an air hostess within Vietnam. I'm meeting her. We go and talk about, in Vietnam, we talk about alumni meetings. She's actually helped me with a few events that I've done in Vietnam, not only like agent events, but she's also helped me with like alumni dinners, planning really fun get-togethers, networking, events with the British Council here in Vietnam. So loads of different things to get involved with post-graduation as well, and all really great things to put on your CV too. So that kind of ends the kind of careers part. I didn't know if you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Okay.
Thank you. And currently, there are many students here interested in visual in education courses. Can you share more about two majors?
Yeah, of course I can. So if I get my link up quickly before I share my screen.
Các bạn ơi, chị cũng thấy là có rất là nhiều các bạn hiện tại đang quan tâm đến ngành TESOL và education. Thì chị cũng đã vừa chia sẻ với cô rồi, và hiện tại cô cũng đang chuẩn bị để có thể chia sẻ cho các bạn thêm về các ngành các bạn đang quan tâm này nhé. Thì hãy đợi cô một chút xíu nha. Đây, cô đang chuẩn bị cái phần slide về TESOL và education cho các bạn rồi. Vậy thì các bạn ơi, hãy ngày hôm nay thì các bạn đang có những câu hỏi gì thì hãy comment đi, hãy comment vào trong phần book chat nha. Để cuối giờ thì chúng ta sẽ còn một phần nữa là Q&A và sẽ giải đáp tất cả các thắc mắc cho các bạn ấy. Thì các bạn hãy cứ gửi tất cả những câu hỏi vào trong phần book chat đi. Sau khi cô chia sẻ hết phần TESOL và education xong, cô sẽ giải đáp cho các bạn những cái câu hỏi tiếp theo nhé. Hãy tận dụng cơ hội này nào.
Yeah, perfect. So if I just play my screen for a little bit. Oops, sorry.
Ngoài ngành TESOL và education ra thì các bạn có đang quan tâm ngành gì nữa không thì hãy comment vào nhé, để cô có thể hỗ trợ các bạn thêm nha.
On campus, so you need to be face to do the program.
So just to give you a little bit of context here, we record a lot of faculty-specific webinars about different types of programs. So I'll share the links with you guys later. So you can register for an online webinar of any program, and that will be a chance to meet the faculty, to ask your questions. They'll give a presentation, and it'll be all kind of things that you may be interested in. Even if you can't come based on like previous booking, time difference and so on, if you register for the webinar, the resources will be sent to you. So you just need to register and they'll all be sent to you so you can watch them in your own time. So I'm just going to play a few snippets from the most recent webinar from my colleagues and myself, who delivered a webinar on MA education.
Of Oxford on one side of the river, and the other campus of Oxford, Brookes University, Headington Hill, is on the other side of the river. And we sit on the two hills overlooking the main city. This is the chapel at Harcourt Hill. Good, 1805. I think we'll kick off and we'll carry on. So it's a nice place to work. We're up in the hill there. It's a lovely place to be. To outline briefly the MA education, particularly the modes, which includes on-campus and distance learning. So we have both of those modes. The full-time takes 1 year, as most UK masters do, and the full-time is on campus, and you need to be face-to-face to do the program full-time. We also run a fully distance learning program, which is part-time, and that is generally 2 to 3 years. The normal pace would be 3 years, which would allow you to continue working full-time, and that's one of the most popular routes. There are possibilities of doing it for 2 years, particularly maybe if you come in for home students with a PGCE, you've already been through teacher training, and so you might carry some credit in. And so we would get, in that case, if you are a home student, you could be on campus face-to-face. Please note that as with all UK universities, you can only, if you're an international student, you can only do on campus if you are full-time, doing 180 credits part-time. It's just a timetable looking forward to September 2024, which is the next intake. We don't have a January intake. There's one exception to that, which I'll come to much later on. But the MA education overall is a September to September program. And we start in usually around about the second week of September. This is the actual date this year, the 16th of September, is when we actually start the induction week. Here, if you're coming as an international student or online. So, and that roughly lays out. We mainly have a 2-semester program, but we do run over into the summer as well, with some talk modules, but also the dissertation runs right through until the last Friday in September. So it really is a September to September program. The entry requirements, they will be specifically laid out for each of the MA strands. We have slightly different ones, but broadly, it's a good honours degree. You need to have some kind of teaching or educational experience or some kind of background in the area. The main thing with the MA education is that it tries to relate theory to practice. So it's always useful to have some orientation to that. Different pathways require slightly different kinds of experience, but particularly in areas such as leadership and management and TESOL, the relevant experience or qualification for some of our named awards, which we'll go into in a minute. The English link requirements, you will find those in more detail on the university website, for which there is a link there. But the ones for the MA education are IELTS 6.5 or above as an overall score, with a minimum of 6 in reading and writing, and 5.5 in listening and speaking. So those are the broad entry requirements for the MA education as a whole.
Right, I'm just going to fast forward a little bit to the TESOL.
And the other named pathway is TESOL, teaching English as a second or other language. And we ask to have at least 1 year experience teaching English for this. We make an assumption about the practice of teaching English. So some experience is required from that. Very happy to answer any questions on that experience needed. And that goes for all the strands, by the way. If, like leadership and management and TESOL, have particular requirements, SEND and childhood and youth studies, slightly less so, isn't that the case, John? But usually some kind of background.
Yeah. When we're sort of reading through the applications, we would expect to see some prior involvement, either previous study, so modules in psychology, for example, or specific modules around special education, and we also look around your kind of previous experience as well. Yes.
Yeah, teaching assistants, sort of roles in schools as well. Yes, so TESOL, we very much orientate to that, because we're very much looking for that link between practice and theory and practice, and trying to make it applied, but also taking us up to a master's level. We have the usual compulsories of research methods and dissertation. By the way, if you take a named award, the dissertation must be in that area. So you can always, of course, transfer across into the MA education and do anything education related in the open route as well. And we have 3 compulsories as usual. Language acquisition, which is about the learner and learning, of course. We have ELT, changing methodologies, which is about teaching and the teacher and how you do things. And my module, descriptions of English, which is more about the language, what you'll teach. And very different theories about language, because you tend to teach the language, you tend to teach something in the way you think about it. So if you think that teaching English is a set of rules and that can't be broken, you'll tend to teach it as a set of rules that can't be broken. So the way you think about something generally impacts upon the way you teach it as well. So we kind of explore that a little bit and go ahead. And then we have a couple of TESOL modules, options, multilingual learners, which is becoming very popular, both looking at it from a UK perspective. We call it EAL, English is an additional language. Within a lot of our primary schools and secondary schools is quite a big area. But in international schools, English is a medium of instruction. CLIL in Europe, content and language integrated learning, is very big in Spain and Italy at the moment, and in Lithuania. But just more generally about students with, you've got students in your class with more than one language. How do you deal with that? My background is in English for specific purposes, which is English for business, English for law, English for pilots. That's my background. teaching pilots in Japan. And you can do anything with that. It's a very interesting area. You can teach English for lawyers. I've had students teaching lawyers at the European Court of Human Rights. I've had this year teaching doctors in Taiwanese universities. So lots there. And you can also take an option module for the main MA. You need to take at least one of the TESOL options, but you can choose another. You can choose one of John's on teaching Introduction to Send or etc. So as long as you have some background in that. I hope that gives a clear idea of the overall pattern of that. I'll just add in one more. This is a UMA, it's the International Education MA, and it's a distance.
So then we had my colleagues Paul Wickens and John talking a little bit more about the MA Education TESOL pathway. So if I just scroll back a little bit and take this. Yes, Q&A, perfect. Q&A would be great. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. So I will stop sharing.
Thank you for your meaningful sharing. Yeah. Ok, và vừa rồi là toàn bộ chia sẻ của cô Eloise về OBU này, về chương trình thực tập hưởng lương cũng như là một số chuyên ngành về TESOL và Education. Nếu mà chút nữa thì các bạn nào mà cần thêm về những cái tài liệu chi tiết hơn thì có thể là inbox trực tiếp cho Du học Index để cô có thể gửi thêm cho các bạn về cái phần tài liệu đấy nhá. Còn bây giờ thì chị nghĩ rằng là cũng có rất là nhiều các câu hỏi của các bạn hiện tại đang mong chờ là được giải đáp thêm. Thế thì chúng ta sẽ sang phần cuối của sự kiện ngày hôm nay, chính là Q&A, giải đáp các thắc mắc. Và các bạn ơi, thì chị đã thấy có một vài câu hỏi của các bạn ở trong phần book chat rồi, nhưng mà chị nghĩ là các bạn đừng ngần ngại nha. Hãy coi đây là một cái may mắn và cái cơ hội đi để trao đổi với cô trực tiếp ngày hôm nay. Thì chị nghĩ là các bạn cứ đừng ngần ngại và hãy comment những cái thắc mắc băn khoăn của mình vào trong book chat nhé, để cho cô có thể giải đáp thêm. Thì chị đang thấy có một bạn Quỳnh Hoa, hiện tại thì bạn đã có câu hỏi dành cho cô rồi. Ines has also received the question. I will read for you. What kind of requirements do students need to meet in order to apply for the work placement program? Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really great question. Essentially, when you apply to the university, you'll be looking for your academic grades. You'll also be looking for your English language, and you'll be looking for that a reference, a personal statement, and then obviously a deposit payment. The kind of sandwich year and placement doesn't itself have its own requirement. If you get offered a place for the program, you are also offered the opportunity to do the work placement. So there's no additional requirement in that capacity. I would recommend, though, that if you are deciding or thinking about applying for the placement year, it's done so when you make your initial application. There is an option to select the sandwich year if that's something that you wish to do, but there's no additional requirements. So when you come to arrange your sandwich year, you'll already be on campus with Oxford Brookes, and the staff in the careers team, and if you're in the business school, the staff in the waves team will start to prepare you for applying for that work placement. But there's no kind of an extra essay or anything, but you will have to apply to those businesses as if you were applying for a job.
Thank you. And so okay, chị thấy là Nguyễn Hà có câu hỏi đây. Can Vietnamese students get 100% scholarship in OBU for the postgraduate program? Yeah.
Another great question. Unfortunately, we don't offer 100% scholarship at the moment for Vietnamese students. What we do offer, though, is if you apply to the university any time around now, we're still open for applications for this September. So if you're still looking to apply, I'd 100% recommend working with colleagues here and being able to get in that application as soon as possible. If you pay that deposit fee before the end of this month, and there might be room for an extension potentially. And we are giving students an additional £1,000 scholarship to help them join the university. And what that looks like is a discount off of your tuition fees. So the £1,000 will be minused from your tuition fees when you come to enroll at the university.
Ok, câu trả lời của cô đã giải đáp được cho Hà cũng như là Tú Anh chưa? Chị thấy là cả hai bạn cùng có cái phần là thắc mắc giống nhau. Rồi ok, ok. Huỳnh Hoa cũng có một câu hỏi nhá. Thế thì chị đặt hỏi lại câu của Hà An nha, bởi vì Hà An chị thấy là mới hỏi lại này. If we are sure to find the good placement during our study, what about after graduation? Do you receive support from the university to find jobs after graduation? Yes.
A really great question. So as we've talked about in this webinar, the placement year is a really great starting point to boost that employability. As you heard from many of the videos, employers will actively employ the people that go on their placement years, so people will have that job post-graduation. But for students that maybe don't go on the placement but are still looking for that job in the UK post-graduation, we obviously have our careers team. They provide support for up to 3 years after graduation. And they can provide things like CV writing, application writing, finding your job, interview techniques, so working one-to-one. We at Oxford Brookes have a really high employability rate, so within 95% of students are in a job or further study post-graduation in a 6-month period. So really, really positive. And there's many, post-COVID, lots of employers are looking to hire, new staff. We also in the UK have many what we call grad schemes, so jobs specifically outlined for students that have just graduated, and they're really popular, and you can apply for those and we can support you. All you have to do is ask for the support and we'll provide it for you.
Another question from Huỳnh Hoa. It is easy to find part-time jobs in Oxford, and what is the average salary for the students?
Yeah, so part-time jobs in Oxford are really easy to come by. The Oxford, as we talked about, is so student-based. So 25% of all adults in Oxford are students. So Oxford relies on the student nature of working, so part-time jobs. So whether that be, as we talked about, in bars, in restaurants, in shops, a lot of hospitality, but also a lot of local businesses as well rely a lot on part-time work. Here you have Grab, we have a lot of Uber, we have Deliveroo, so we have a lot of kind of different things like that as well that people like to do, because it's quite easy. You can use a bike, things like that. It's very much self-motivated. You can kind of pick up shifts as and when you want, and that works really well around your studies as well. Also, weekend work is very popular in terms of being able to find the work. It's very easy too. Salary depends, obviously, if you're working part-time jobs. We in Oxford have something called minimum wage, which is, I think, at the moment just above £11 an hour minimum wage. But we also have in Oxford something called the living wage, because Oxford, comparative to some other northern cities, is a little bit more expensive. So the living wage is a higher salary based on the costs of living in Oxford and the UK. Any graduate kind of job that you get post, your first job post-graduation can range. I would say probably starting salary is roughly anywhere from £24,000 to £28,000 starting salary per year. But many students actually, I've been on lots of interview panels at Brookes, and many of our students actually apply for jobs at Brookes. Oxford Brookes is one of the largest employers in Oxford as a city. So we employ many of our actual students. So one of my students that I supported through from Japan. She now works in the registry team and she works for timetabling. And she started out as a student on the MA Education TESOL program. So really good.
Thank you. Còn cô vừa rồi là toàn bộ những câu trả lời của cô về các câu hỏi của các bạn đã đặt cho index. Vậy thì không biết là còn bạn nào có những câu hỏi nào nữa không? Ok, chị thấy là bạn Hà vừa có thêm một câu hỏi. Another question from Nguyễn Hà. Yeah. Answer for her.
So that's a really great question. I'm just going to put a link in the chat here, and I'll share this later as well. Is on it's essentially, if that's, sorry if that's the right link. See if I can post it again. But this gives all the details of the scholarship, and it's a bit of like a how-to guide for Oxford Brookes. So all things on deposits, scholarships, accommodation, like deadlines, all of those different kinds of things. So hopefully that link should work for you. Yeah. And essentially the scholarship for PG students is have an offer for the program that's eligible, pay your deposit before the deadline. So the next deadline is the 30th of June. And that's it. And then come enroll with us. So you don't have to do a separate application. You don't have to write an essay for that scholarship. It is just about having an offer and paying your deposit before the deadline. And then we will automatically apply that scholarship to you when you come to enroll with us.
Okay. Còn bạn nào còn câu hỏi nữa không nhỉ? Ok, cảm ơn Nguyễn Hà nha. Chị thấy là Nguyễn Hà hôm nay có rất là nhiều câu hỏi dành cho cô. Còn bạn nào còn câu hỏi nào thắc mắc đặt cho cô nữa không? Rồi ok. Vậy thì các bạn ơi, thì chị thấy là có hiện tại thì mình cũng đã được nghe tất cả những cái phần giải đáp của cô rồi, và chương trình của chúng mình thì hôm nay thì cũng đã đến hồi kết này, và do chương trình và thời gian của chương trình thì cũng có hạn. Nếu mà bạn nào có nhu cầu tư vấn chuyên sâu về UK này thì đừng ngần ngại, hãy đặt lịch ngay với team tư vấn của Index nhé, để nhận được những cái phần hỗ trợ ngay và luôn nha. Và để kết thúc chương trình thì chị nghĩ là buổi ngày hôm nay chúng ta có thêm cái phần kỷ niệm, thì chị sẽ xin mời các bạn. Bây giờ mình sẽ bật camera lên nhé, để mình sẽ chụp ảnh cuối chương trình nha.
Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciated it, and it was so lovely to see so many of you. If you have any questions, obviously please ask my colleagues here with that QR code that they shared, but also feel free to email me directly. I'll put my email here, you can copy and paste. And then, yeah, it was lovely to meet you.
Các bạn ơi, các bạn đã bật hết camera lên chưa nhỉ? Bật hết lên giúp chị nha. Chúng mình cùng chụp một bức ảnh kỷ niệm cùng với cô nhé. Ok, bây giờ chị đếm đến 1 đến 3 nha. Các bạn sẽ cùng cười tươi nha. 1, 2, 3. Ok. Rất là cảm ơn các bạn rất là nhiều vì đã dành thời gian tham dự vào buổi workshop ngày hôm nay cùng với Index cũng như là trường OBU. Thì chị cũng rất là mong sắp tới sẽ có thêm nhiều sự kiện để các bạn có thể cùng join, và hy vọng là cái buổi ngày hôm nay cũng đã giúp cho các bạn đã tìm hiểu được những cái phần thông tin mà các bạn đang thắc mắc nhé. Ok, vậy thì hẹn gặp lại các bạn vào những cái sự kiện lần sau của Index nha. Bye bye, xin chào các bạn.